Jim, walk us through your mindset today.
Okay, well, I think that the market's going to, there's always money goes somewhere. I think the money's going to go heavily to the American electric powers, the energies, utilities, to the companies that have pricing power, like a Procter, J&J, and it'll flee the areas where it's so hard for companies to get out of areas. And I'm looking at, because I don't want to be too pejorative here, there's the luckless and the lucky. And the luckless are companies that move from China to Vietnam, China to Thailand, China to other areas where they thought they're allowed to go to, Mexico. And the poster boy there is indeed Nike. I don't want to be so trite as to say Nike because we see it. But, David, there are some companies that are not in the crosshairs that are going down. And there are some companies that are in the crosshairs are going up. So we've got a lot of mistaken trading right now.
Mistaken trading?
Well, people are making a bet that it's like that Amazon is really hurt by this because of world trade. I mean, Amazon has pricing power. You want to figure out who has pricing power. They are winners.
Right.
And I don't know, does Nike have pricing power? I don't even know anymore.
Amazon
does On have pricing
Walmart.
power?
Your point is the retailers can make the people who put stuff on their shelves or their digital shelves take the hit, or at least a lot of it.
But does Best Buy have that? No. Does Foot Locker have it? I don't think so.
Okay.
But Costco
but we're
has
looking
it.
at some of the big losers right now. AppLovin is in there for a different reason.
AppLovin,
but Lululemon obviously is there because they source so much of their product from Vietnam.
Right, and that was luckless.
Yeah, well,
that was luckless.
I mean, stepping back for a moment, I think coming in to yesterday, the expectation was not that Vietnam would face a 45% tariff.
It was a big shocker.
And because they have eliminated many of their tariff barriers, they do have a 10% VAT, was my understanding. But the overall expectation was they would come off fairly easy, let's say.
Exactly.
And as I think our viewers know at this point, a few came off easier than had been anticipated. Canada, Mexico at least it stays at 25%. Right. USMCA exempted goods
so like
remain exempted.
A Ford is not as bad.
Auto parts, so that's okay. But generally speaking, this was far worse than had been anticipated, certainly by the market, which thought, and many investors I've spoken to thought it had already baked in.
I know, and
especially given the action we saw the last couple of days, the expectations. And then you had a lot of different things going around the last few days, whether it was 10% or 20% across the board or what it might be. But calling these reciprocal is not really.
We don't use that word. We're done using that word.
We're done using that because that's just, I don't want to call it a lie. It's dissembling. But like, give you an example about what I say the market's wrong. You have to be careful. TJX is the principal beneficiary because everyone's going to take in a lot of inventory because they're trying to get it in fast. And then they won't be able to sell everything, so then they give it to TJX. That is what I call a winner, okay? Target has 11 brands, $1 billion. A lot of them, they're sourced all overseas. Not a winner, no pricing power. Costco, huge winner. Why? Because they have a club. The club status is to pass on anything. And then they still have and it's still going to be cheaper. So we cannot lump all these together. We lump them initially. Costco is going to be down as much as Target. But then we have to come back and say, well, maybe Target should stay down, but Costco should go up. So there's like a secondary look at things.
Right. Citi today does upgrade both TJX and Ross.
That was a great call.
To your point. But, Jim, isn't the Vietnam lesson that these goalposts move constantly? Yes. How can you make any call on any of these names today? My
people that do industry say, okay, here's what the tariffs were. They figured out what would make it so that the only place that you would want to make something is America. Wherever you go, you can't, it's like a Muhammad Ali, you can't run, you can't hide. And I think that that's the ultimate goal. And the only time it would not be is if you think the dollar's so strong that you won't, and that you'll still want to import garlic.
Well, that is not a problem. The dollar strength is not a problem. And today, Deutsche says we're starting to worry about its safe haven status.
Well, I think that that's correct. I thought that was a good note.